like audiobooks or audio shows, check out a free trial of Audible. Just click the link in the description. You are listening to MINDSHOCK. This is your host, Bruce McGuire.
And Maxwell Powers.
And we have a very interesting podcast for you tonight. We are going to be looking at the best photographic evidence of ghosts. Now, we've talked about ghosts on the podcast before. Maxwell is not a true believer. Is that correct, Maxwell? You don't believe in ghosts?
I don't know what to think of it. I don't know. I'm skeptical.
Maxwell is a skeptic. I myself, I'm not sure. I believe, we talked about this many times, I believe witnesses are telling what they believe to be the truth.
Of course.
Whether that is actually what happened or not is is up for debate. However, it is very curious that people are citing translucent apparitions in historical garb that appear and disappear on whims. I mean, that is strange, don't you think, Maxwell?
Yeah. It's always places where people were experienced terrible deaths and stress and places like that. It's never a happy place. Like, it's never like this is where, this famous person grew up and lived happily, Yeah. It's always traumatized.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. So, we're going to go through a list of some of the best known photographs. Photographs that aren't just random CGI fakery. Like, these are historical photographs. The first, hold on, Maxwell, is the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. So here's one photograph. This is the most famous one.
Yes, I remember that when I was a kid, my mom actually bought a book on like ghosts. I forget what it was, but I remember that growing up. That's old. That must have been like, I would say 60s, 70s.
The image was shot in September 1936.
God damn!
Yeah, it's one of the oldest and best pieces of evidence. Now, it's not the only photograph, but we'll do a quick recap and then we'll look at some of the other photographs of the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. So, this might be.
And that was probably like a light that showed through like a curtain or something, and he just happened to, block it with his body as he was developing it or something.
That's your theory?
I don't know. I'm thinking.
So Raynham Hall is in Norfolk, England, and this was taken by one of the photographers for Country Life magazine, Captain Hubert Provand. So one account states that he had his head buried in the focusing cloth when his assistant, Indri Shira, glimpsed a veiled form gliding down the house's grand oak staircase and excitedly demanded that he take a picture. So this was not some kind of weird processing effect. So his assistant saw the ghost walking down the stairs and she was like, take that picture.
Get the hell out of here.
That's what the account states.
That's interesting.
So by the time Provand raised his head, the figure had vanished, leading Provand to suggest that Shira had imagined the incident. The development process, however, revealed something unsettling. The ghost, thought to be that of Lady Dorothy Townshend, has been glimpsed several times since the early 1800s. She officially died of smallpox in 1726. But other legends have developed, stating that she was locked in her bedroom by her husband for committing adultery.
Jeez. See, again, traumatized events, like terrible deaths, smallpox.
Witnesses describe the phantom as having an air of madness or menace about it. The specter has reportedly been seen intermittently about the hall since the photo was taken. The other thing interesting about some of these ghosts that haunt specific areas, if these are just glitches in film, how come the same glitches are happening in the same spot, like at certain times, and then not at other times? Like,
how do you know it always happens in the same spot?
Well, they're saying it's down that hall. It's not somewhere else in the hall.
So this happened many times in that hallway?
Yes.
And different people.
Right. So, yes,
Okay.
throughout like hundreds of years.
Huh.
So what I'm saying, or over 100 years now, 150 years. So what I'm saying is, how come the phenomena doesn't, like, let's say light comes through a window real weird and it bounces off of something that nobody knows about, and that specific style camera will cause some kind of a weird glow.
Huh, okay.
You take 100 pictures, how come that weird glow is only in like one or two? You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a byproduct of something physical, of a physical light abnormality that would cause the glow, or it's the mechanism of the camera. For example, if you used a specific model of camera in a specific film, that glitch should happen when light hits that something specific every time in that model. So if you're using two different models of camera, that glitch should not happen on a different model. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because if it's something specific to the technical specifications of a specific camera.
So that would mean it was something like what you said before, like.
If it's a glitch or some kind of abnormality with a specific camera or a specific location, it should be repeatable.
Yeah.
Because that's what science is.
Yeah.
Observable, measurable, observable, repeatable.
Yeah.
Not a random effect.
Yeah.
So, we're going to look at another image of the brown lady. That one looks more
Holy crap.
recent.
Wait, is that recent? What year?
That one looks more recent. Let's see.
It looks like a skeleton of a face and like a dress and.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, that looks really similar. Holy crap!
It does, but look, you could actually make out the face.
Yeah, I can see
It's a
that. Like it
tilted
looks.
head with the face.
Yeah, I can see it on that too.
Yeah, it looks like almost like she's on white fire, sort of. Like there's a weird smoking.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Wait, how recent was that? Was that one? Wait, what's that photo of? What's that photo of? Is that her?
No.
Like, scroll down. That. What is that?
That's a painting.
Of her or what?
Yeah. All right, so let's go over this account. So, obviously, most famous ghost photograph possibly ever. So, supposedly there's countless eyewitness accounts, and more so than any other place. So, Raynham Hall. Now, she was assumed to be Lady Dorothy Townshend. However, that's an assumption. So we're going to go over a couple different theories. Since she's wearing a fabric of a brocade-style dress, that's where she got the moniker the Brown Lady, named after the fabric of the dress, because that's what she's always spotted in. So Dorothy Walpole, sister to Robert Walpole and the first Prime Minister of Great Britain, Lady Dorothy married to Charles Townshend, a horrible man known for a cruel temper. Townshend was a very paranoid man and eventually accused his poor wife of adultery. Before Lady Dorothy could defend herself, she was locked away in her room inside Raynham Hall, not even allowed to speak or see her own children. In 1725, a funeral was held for the lady, though many believed she continued to be held against her will inside the dark rooms of Raynham Hall until her true death years later. The plot thickens. The first sighting of the Brown Lady was during Christmas in 1835, when Colonel Loftus and Frederick Marryat were invited to stay at the house. According to the story, Loftus and Marryat were up late one evening when they witnessed a lantern light moving quickly down the long hallway towards them. Always happens in this hallway. As the light approached, both men hid behind the doors on opposite sides of the hallway. Marryat watched her approaching nearer and nearer through the chink of the door until, as she was close enough to him to distinguish the colors and style of her costume, he recognized the figure as the facsimile of the portrait of the Brown Lady. He had his finger on the trigger of his revolver and was about to demand it to stop and give the reason for its presence there, when the figure halted of its own accord before the door behind which he stood, and holding the lighted lamp she carried to her features, grinned in a malicious and diabolical manner at him. That's creepy. Oftentimes, the Brown Lady is described as having no eyes while sporting a terrifying and maniacal smile on her face as she wanders aimlessly through the dark hallways.
No eyes. That's scary.
With her lantern raised high above her head. Well, yeah, even
how many
in that
people?
original...
How many people has witnessed this?
It says hundreds.
Hundreds.
Hundreds of
Oh, wait,
times.
where is this again?
In England.
Oh, shit. Since 1835.
So the most famous photograph, September 19, 1936, by Captain Hubert Provan, and this manifested as an unexplainable mist, and the vapor began moving down the stairs. The account of Provan and Shearer's ghostly experience at Raynham Hall was published in Country Life magazine on December 26, 1936, along with the photograph of the brown lady. The photograph and the account of its taking also appeared in January 4th, 1937 edition of Life magazine, so it's pretty famous.
Yeah.
This is a pretty famous photograph. So what's the contention? What is
the misty one, right? The
yeah.
misty one,
What is the likelihood that it was faked, or they just made up the story?
Not likely, because back then probably, I don't know, they
Less likely than now.
Yeah, less likely than now, because like today you can produce income from photographs and videos. But back then, well, I guess you can too, like selling prints and stuff. I don't know, to books.
Well, no, they could edit the photograph from the negative, like it's been done. But like, what would the point be?
Gain attention, low self-esteem. I don't know, whatever.
So witnesses have cited the ghost in different rooms, but it's usually in that one hallway with the staircase. So there's a little bit more backstory to Dorothy. The story goes that Dorothy fell deeply in love with the young Lord Charles Townshend, who returned her feelings, asked her father, Robert Walpole, for her hand in marriage. Robert, who was also Townshend's guardian, refused to give his permission, afraid that people would think that he was using his guardianship for his own self-interest. Heartbroken, Charles shortly afterwards married Elizabeth Pelham, daughter of the first Baron Thomas Pelham of Loughton. Elizabeth died in 1711, leaving Charles a widower with 5 surviving children. He was eventually reunited with Dorothy, and the two married in 1713. What Charles did not know was that during the time they had been apart, Dorothy had an affair with the notorious Lord Wharton, the father of the infamous Philip, 1st Duke of Wharton, founder of one of the earliest Hellfire clubs. That's another topic for another podcast.
I don't know what the hell.
But strange connection. An occult Illuminati type secret society club. When Charles eventually found out, he flew into a terrible rage. Locking Dorothy in her rooms, he forbade her from ever seeing her children again. She remained in prison for the rest of her life until her death in 1726, reportedly from smallpox. So, as you were saying, it's usually some kind of violent or wrongful situation going on with people with entities that are ghosts. We discussed the ghost theory, I think, in our first podcast. Are these simply demons masquerading as people?
The Halloween episode.
Our infamous inaugural podcast. If you haven't checked that out, you should go check that out. It's pretty crazy.
That was a fun one.
Yeah. So what do you think? Some people purport that all ghosts are simply demons or demonic activity of some kind. So they're taking what they know and manifesting as a person without it actually being that spirit of that person. What do you think? It seems kind of strange just for the purpose of scaring random people.
Wait, so what's your question?
What do we think of all ghosts simply being demonic energies for the sole purpose of scaring people and just introducing negative energy into the universe through fear or whatever?
I don't know. I'm still like trying to deal with the existence of ghosts.
Well, obviously this is predicated on the fact if they exist.
Yeah, okay.
There was obviously some kind of weird mist there that was witnessed by 100 people in that hallway that resembled a lady wearing a brown dress.
But you were asking ask your thing again. Like you were saying that like
some people think that all ghosts
are demons.
Yes,
evil
masquerading as people that used to like they're taking the form of someone who used to live to trick people into believing that that person is the ghost of that of whoever the ghost is of.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because like I said before, I mean it's usually people who witnessed trauma. That's interesting. See, I'm going with that. Are you saying that like these demons like the fear? So like if people experience like fear,
they feed off
they
the
kinda,
energy.
Yeah, so they kind of embody that
That was not my point. My point was they just used. I mean, although that is a good point.
Yeah,
that if they
I was
can
thinking-
only take the form of someone who kind
Yeah.
of
Had
there was
some
negativity
trauma,
around it
yeah,
already,
yeah.
that opens the door for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Because like,
also, is it a coincidence?
wait, let me ask you this: has there ever been a ghost where people knew the person as being very happy, healthy, and that kind of thing, or was it?
Well,
I've
there's
never
different
heard of a
accounts.
ghost.
There's different accounts of Dorothy. Some accounts say that she was happy and lived a good life. So, although that doesn't, I mean, that doesn't change the end.
Yeah.
If the end was traumatic,
Yeah.
but a lot of this stuff is unverified as well, or there's multiple sources on it. However, I mean, I don't think Philip, his father being the founder of the Hellfire Club, a satanic organization in high society.
That's very
I mean, this was uncovered in London, 1721.
Jeez.
Satanism in high society, and this was published in the London Gazette.
Jeez.
So, like, this is like official. I'm going to read a little excerpt of this. His Majesty has received information which gives great reason to suspect that there have been lately, and still are, about the cities of London and Westminster, certain scandalous clubs or societies of young persons who meet together in the most impious and blasphemous manner, insult the most sacred principles of holy religion, affront Almighty God himself, and corrupt the minds and morals of one another. And we're not going to go too far into the Hellfire Club and all of the occult Illuminati connections, but is that simply a coincidence that was Philip's father?
That's very interesting.
And does that have something to do with some kind of, was she sacrificed to the occult?
Wait, did you, what was the lady's name? The ghost?
Dorothy?
Yeah, but why'd you say Phillips? Philip's father.
That was who she married,
Oh, okay.
or who she had the affair with.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, she had an affair with Lord Wharton. No, he was the father of Philip, who founded the first Duke of Wharton, who founded one of the earliest Hellfire clubs. So what do you think? Is that a coincidence in this case? Is that why she's a ghost? Was there something more going on? Did they have occult connections, seances, sacrifices? What's going on, Maxwell?
That's very interesting. They definitely did something. If ghosts existed.
So here is actually, he was sarcastically named Honest Tom. We're talking about Wharton now. Of all the liars of his time, he was the most deliberate, the most inventive, and the most circumstantial. And he had a mercurial character. He was also referred to as diabolical and the most universal villain I ever knew. This is Jonathan Swift who wrote this about him. Philip earned a reputation which equaled and possibly surpassed that of his father, the founder of the Hellfire, as the founder of the Hellfire Club. So, coincidence or no?
Coincidence. Coincidence, definitely.
Hellfire Club, just a coincidence. Yeah. Just a coincidence.
Yeah, she married Philip, and who happened to have a coincidentally the father was the head of the I forgot what the name was, Hellfire Club.
So here was one of the first sightings.
That's what Benjamin Franklin joined, right?
What?
But that's what Benjamin Franklin joined, right? Hellfire. Wasn't he part of that?
That's not what this podcast is about. So supposedly one of the first sightings was Christmas 1835. This was Lucia C. Stone and Colonel Loftus. And after a game of chess, I read this, they were retiring to bed. One of the accounts said that it was dark in the glowing face. Her eyes appeared to be gouged out.
That's very interesting. Wait, hold on. Wait, this is not the ghost part, right? This is like...
This is they witnessed the ghost. This is the first account of the ghost.
Oh, okay, got it.
The Christmas account, 1835.
I thought they did something to her, like in her physical body, like they gouged her eyes and stuff. I thought that's what you said. Like they gouged her eyes, but you said that they witnessed.
Well, after the story circulated, then Marriott came to investigate because he thought it was actually a prank to keep strangers away from the hall. So, Royal Navy Captain Frederick Marriott visited the hall as part of a hunting party, and he asked to be put in the room which contained the painting of the woman who Loftus was convinced he had seen. The first 2 nights passed without incident, and he was given no opportunity to use his gun. One evening, on the 3rd night, as he was getting ready for bed, he heard a knock on the door. Two of the company had come to ask Marriott's opinion on a new gun recently arrived from London. After examining the gun, the men decided to accompany Marriott back to his room and joked that he should take the gun with him to protect himself from the lady ghost. The three men were making their way along the dark and gloomy corridor when suddenly they saw the figure of a melancholy woman carrying a light approaching them. Thinking that it was one of the ladies in their party, the half-dressed Marriott, for the sake of modesty, hid himself in the space between the double doors of one of the bedrooms. The two other men joined him. As she approached, Marriott recognized her as the woman from the portrait in his bedroom. Never a man to cower in fear, he kept his finger firmly on the trigger, intending to confront her and demand an explanation. Before he could do so, the apparition stopped in front of where Marriott and the others were concealing themselves. She turned to face him and grinned in a malicious and diabolical manner.
What year was that witness?
So this was the first account, this was in 1836, and the first account was in 1835. So it was over 100 years of numerous witnesses claiming they have seen this brown lady ghost. So paranormal investigator Harry Price interviewed both Provand and Shira and concluded that the men had not conspired to deceive the public and that the photograph was genuine. Investigators John Fairley and Simon Welfare claimed that on examining the image they could discern a pale line above each stair trend, which indicates that one picture has been superimposed over the others. Others, agreeing with Fairley and Welfare, have suggested that the image looks like a standard Virgin Mary statue, and that on close study you can see that the hands of the woman are clasped in prayer, and that the dress is typical of the V-shaped garments carved in those statues, and even the pedestal on which the statue stands can clearly be seen. Many others, even today, believe that the photograph is genuine, including Lord RAYNHAM, who is convinced that Dorothy's spirit does remain in the house. She isn't there to haunt the house, but she is still there. I know she's there, and I'm glad she's around. RAYNHAM Hall is not the only place where the spirit of Dorothy has been seen. The ghost of a young Dorothy has been seen occasionally at Sandringham House, while a royal guest claims to have been visited by a terrifying vision. A young George IV, while staying at Houghton, awoke in the middle of the night to see the ghost of the brown lady at the foot of the bed. It is claimed that the Prince of Wales left the hall immediately, declaring that he would not spend another hour in the accursed house, for tonight I have seen that which I hope to God I never see again.
How far is that place to that other place that's been... I don't know.
Somewhere in the immediate area. Other ghostly residents of Raynham Hall. So supposedly there's ghosts of a Cocker Spaniel, 2 children, and the Duke of Monmouth. An elderly spinster claimed to have been visited by the Duke of Monmouth while she was spending a night at Raynham Hall and found the experience both flattering and agreeable.
Wait, did you say the animal was a ghost too?
Yeah, the ghost. The dog.
I think you mentioned this the last podcast episode. Like a lot of animal ghosts. I've never.
There's a fair number of animal ghost accounts as well.
Are usually the animal ghosts tortured or something like that, or like they experienced a horrible death, or is it usually accompanying? Is it usually accompanied by the owners or something?
I'm not sure. I think there's less accounts of animal ghosts, so there's not as much known. But I'm sure there's some cases where the animal did have a.
Yes.
I don't see any lines above the staircase where they're talking about. They said there's 2 images on top of each other. I don't see what they're talking about. Yeah, because the light and the pedestal, I don't see that as a pedestal because you could see to the left the light is
pedestal,
like a statue pedestal. They said that it was just a superimposed image.
Oh.
So anyway, what's our final verdict on this one? Real image, fake image, real ghost, not real ghost, some kind of weird phenomena that happens only in that hallway. And the strange connection to the Hellfire Club. A lot of strangeness there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there haven't been more. I mean, maybe there have, but I couldn't find any more modern photographs or videos.
Wait, what is this? Look at this one. Like, why is that more detailed? Or is this has to be like, is this another photo that was taken from like another time, or?
That's just a flicker. I don't know what that's a more modern photo. It looks completely fake to me.
Wait, so how many photos of that same hallway?
Supposedly,
same staircase?
There's not that many.
So it's just one, but people say that they right on the same spot.
Yeah.
Let's go there. Let's check it out. Is it still around, that place?
Okay, so in The Independent, Alan Murdy, a barrister and also a researcher into the supernatural, found evidence in a dusty folder in the manuscripts department of Cambridge University Library. He said he has stumbled across evidence that this photograph is a fake, 70 years after the photograph was taken.
How do you figure?
The file details an exhaustive investigation into the phenomenon shortly after the image was taken. Conducted by the Society for Physical Research, it concludes that there is almost certainly a mundane explanation for the spectral image in the photo. The evidence includes the discovery that the camera may have leaked light onto the photographic plate. What the heck? That's not proof. How is that proof at all? Oh, wow, this article is terrible. Alright, so that's all they have into proving it's a fake. It may have leaked light. I don't know how that makes a figure with no eyes, but... Alright, so there seems to be nothing conclusive debunking it. But I do find it strange that it's not easy to find. Why aren't people... I'm guessing, paranormal, since it's such a famous photograph, paranormal researchers have been there. They've probably set up cameras, and they can't get another image. Although, this is something that I've wondered for a long time. If paranormal phenomena is linked to some kind of electromagnetic disturbance, then a digital camera would not record it. You'd have to use film. So that's something that keeps coming up.
I wonder if ghost hunters go back to retro film instead of
A lot of the stuff I saw they don't, because they're always using digital and there's always interference.
Yeah, but
there's batteries going dead for no reason.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm wondering maybe some of them are smart enough should go do both, do digital and film.
Yeah.
So this way you have two.
Film is just so annoying compared to digital,
because there's so much in the process, the developing. But I had this question in mind.
So you would need analog technology, because digital, there's too much interference with digital technology. Although to counter that, there does seem to be a fair amount of ghosts captured on digital photography and on digigal video as well.
Yeah.
So it's strange. It's definitely strange.
I was wondering about this. I was curious. Has there been a haunted place? They tear down the place, and I was wondering if ghosts continue to appear or witness in that area. Because if a ghost continues to visit,
say that again.
If a ghost, if there's a haunted house and there's ghosts all the time there that are witnessed, if you demolish the house, what would happen to the ghosts? Would they continually appear? Because it seems like the ghosts are attached to the house structure, because that's where they experience most of the time the traumatic events, the death, I
don't know. So in certain haunted house cases, you have the ghost wandering the backyard and then also in the house. So if you demolish the house. Is it?
But it's still
completely demolished, including the basement. You excavate all of it.
Yeah.
Nothing
take it out, nothing, and just land. But I think the ghost would be like, "Where the hell is my place? I'm supposed to haunt this place. I'm supposed to have visitors here so I can scare them."
People have done that though. They have demolished haunted homes.
And then they built another structure, and then the ghosts get all confused, like, "Where the hell is my room?"
Well, here's the thing, though. I'm not sure they built, in certain cases, they don't build another structure. They demolish the house and then they just leave, so there's nobody there to hunt. So what do you think about this? I think I asked this question about Bigfoot, if a tree falls in the woods situation.
Oh, shit.
If there's no humans around to scare, are the ghosts just always walking around and haunting? Or is it only when there's a human there to witness it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
And if they're using digital cameras to record all this, and they're not getting that much because they're digital cameras, they need analog film cameras recording 24/7 in these haunted locations. But back to what I was saying about Raynham Hall, it seems like more paranormal researchers would be investigating, especially it was so famous. Why aren't there more photographs? Why aren't there videos? Even on film, shot on film, throughout, say, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, when they were still using analog film.
That's true.
Why isn't there more evidence?
There should be. Well, what is that place anyway? Is that a place to stay, like a hotel? What is it?
Raynham Hall.
But, I mean...
It used to be like an aristocratic building.
So it's like a tourist place. You visit it to the Independence Hall in
something
Pennsylvania.
Like that, yeah. Like a manor type house.
So there should be millions of photos and videos, if that's the case. I don't know. It's
strange. Couldn't find too much more. But we'll leave you at that. So that was the Raynham Hall evidence. One of the most compelling photographs of ghost evidence ever captured. If you like our podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. And also check out our Patreon. We will catch you guys next time. Have a good night. This is Bruce McGuire signing off.
Hey, Maxwell Powers.
See you later.